Yo, yo, let me know if y'all can hear me. Oh yeah, y'all can hear me. I can already tell. Come on in. Come on in, guys. Come on in. Come on in. Y'all, my head always sideways. I don't never check in the mirror before I come up here. That's my fault though. Come on in. I think y'all can hear me, but come through. Let me know. Let me know. Oh, oh. Come on in. I'm just seeing some people, but I didn't have my junk on, so let me know. I'm gonna wait for y'all to come on in. Let me know. I could probably share this junk too. Hold on one second. What up, good people? Today I'm gonna talk about something like personal, something I thought about earlier that I want to share. Something that I've been working on that could help or bless somebody else. So yeah, that's the vibes. I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Somebody comment and let me know if y'all can hear me. Now this camera weird, but y'all let me know if y'all can hear me. Yeah. I think so. Let me see. I'm gonna turn this back up. Yeah. So now that I know, I just checked it with my computer. So the thing I want to talk about today is a personal thing. Hold on, let me. Or okay, let me. I'm trying to fix my camera. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, I think I'm straight now. Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. Yeah. All right. Hold on. Brittany Monche, what up? So I'm about to talk about something like mad personal. That I wanna just talk about something I've been thinking about, and yeah, maybe it is a blessing to y'all, to whoever's on here right now, to whoever may watch this later. It is just something I've been thinking about, and that thing is accountability. Like as a person, we are all human people who live lives and we all go through things. We all have experiences. We all have situations that occur. We all have lives. We all have stories, journeys, trauma, visions, goals, likes, dislikes. We all have those things. And the whirlwind of life can sometimes put us in a position. And when I say us, I mean me. In a position where we we make excuses for our lack of accountability. I know I've done it a lot where you feel justified in not being real with yourself. You feel justified in not taking responsibility for your actions. You feel justified in not um, becoming a better version of yourself. Like for some reason, what you've been through, situations with a loss, situations with a parent, situations with an experience, situation with a childhood trauma, sometimes gives us um, the wrong impression on how we should handle things. There's an entitlement that comes with those things that makes us act out of pocket and we feel justified in that because of our experiences. And a lot of times we use the excuse, you don't know my story, you don't know what I've been through, you can't tell me how to act, this just who I am, this me, this who I'm gonna be. And people may not know your story, people may not understand what you've been through, people may can't fathom your loss, but they do have to experience who you are after the fact. And nothing about what you've been through makes it okay to do wrong by people. And when you get to the place where you're not treating people well because of your own pain, it's time to self-reflect. And that's something that I've been doing personally. And there's three things in particular that I thought about today that I want to share that I'm currently doing that is helping me to take more accountability for who I am, for my actions, for my thoughts, for my being, so that I can treat people better. Straight up, like that. Let's keep Yeah, absolutely. That's a fact, Brittany. So let me go so I can show y'all. So my computer is over here, so that's why I keep looking to the side. But all right. So the first thing that I'm currently doing, these are three things that I'm currently doing to take more accountability for who and how I am. The first thing is learning the difference between passion and pride. What do I mean? We can get in situations where whether we're defending something, whether we're protecting something, whether we are going to bat for something, whether that be a good thing, like wanting people to believe in you, or wanting people to see your vision, or wanting people to know how hurt you were, or wanting people to know that you're not going to be no pushover. A lot of times we'll say that that's because we're passionate and our heart is in something. Like, I need people to understand where I'm coming from. This is just my passion. And I'm learning the difference between like passion and pride. Look, that's my daughter. Hey, hey, you want to come say hey? They right here. I'm learning the difference between passion and pride. Like sometimes we use passion to try to clean up the fact that we are prideful. When I say we, I mean me. I've been in plenty of situations where, excuse me, y'all. I've been in plenty of situations where my pride and ego got in the way, and I've communicated in very hostile and aggressive ways, and called it passion, called it taking up for myself, called it protecting myself. Um, and in some ways, I was trying to protect myself, but I was protecting myself from feeling pain, so I caused pain through my communication style. So it was a situation where, or there have been situations where I've used passion to take the emphasis off of how I feel or what I'm experiencing. And it's really just pride. It's fear, it's anxiety, and the pride of saying, hey, man, this hurts, or this is uncomfortable, or this didn't feel good. I don't like that you're saying this. I don't like that you're doing that. Instead of communicating those things from a place of humility, like, I don't want to be done unfairly in business. I don't want to do something without getting credit. I don't want to be talked to in that way. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm getting the short end of the stick. These are humble ways to communicate. But when you're offended and pride comes in, then you're rowdy, you're loud, you're obnoxious, you're belittling at sometimes, insulting at sometimes. And I know I've put that under the umbrella of being passionate or keeping it real and being brutally honest. Like the term brutally honest is so not good because why would you ever want to be brutal to anyone? Like why can't you just be honest? Why does it have to be brutal? Absolutely. Your mind is closed when you're hurt. That's a good point. Brittany said closed-minded. Yes, when you've oh, this is so good. When you've been put in positions where things have happened to you that did not feel good, there's a certain way that you operate, and there's a shield that you put around your heart and your mind. And then once you live to learn with it for once you live, once you learn to live with it for so long, you don't even know that there's a shield around it, and then you operate from a place of pride with the objective to be able to keep the walls up around your mind and your heart. Because if you open your mind and your heart to be vulnerable and transparent and honest with people, you then have to accept things that you purposely forgot about. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous because you prefer to hurt people over embracing your pain. It is more convenient for me to hurt you with my words than to deal with my what how I feel or what I've experienced. It is more easy for me to be brutally honest with you than it is for me to be completely honest with myself. And then we'll just say, I'm just keeping it real. And we do it in a rah-rah way. And I've personally said, hey man, I'm just passionate about what I believe. And that's why I do what I do. But it's like, no, you can be passionate about what you believe. You can be shook up about what you've experienced and still communicate better. So that's one level of accountability that I've taken in real life. Like trauma, like the trauma that you've experienced does not justify you treating people bad. There's nothing that you've gone through that makes it okay for you to treat other people bad. I said that yesterday. And it's like in music, in personal life, like I know I've been in situations with music where it's like, yo man, I had to do this. I had to get it out the mud. I had to go through this. I had to do that. So I've earned the right to talk to you this way when we're in rehearsal. And then my friends started to not like me because of my communication style. I had good intentions. I had the right idea about the objective, but my communication style was off. And I called it passion and I called it keeping it real. But like my friends did not like me simply because I didn't know how to communicate. And it's like, that's important. Like, and pride is not passion. Passion is not pride. You can communicate passion to people without operating in pride. You can speak strongly about something you feel or think or believe without being mean, without belittling, and without insulting people. It is possible. I know we don't think that it is, but it is. Krisha said, because sometimes when you open up and have to accept what they say by trying to be understanding, it can cause a setback for you once you have built yourself. Yes, absolutely. You can get to a place where, okay, I'm strong enough now to cope with who I am and what I've been through. And then what happens is if somebody say you still need a little work on that, it hurts. If somebody say, well, you still missed the mark on that again. The rah-rah in you takes over. Like, gosh, that's so true. Like, but it's like, hey man, you have to get to the place where you're strong enough. It takes more, like, here's the thing. It takes more strength. Like fussing at people, always pointing out everybody else's wrongs, always being brutally honest. That is easier than taking accountability. That's the difference between coping and healing. Absolutely. It's two different things. And it's like when you only cope, if somebody comes and snatch the band-aid off, you going crazy. Like, but if you just like go through the proper channels to actually heal, it's different. Superstar, it is easier. It is easier to like lash out. It is easier to project. And I'm gonna tell you another thing that I'm learning about myself through accountability. Like when you're not happy, or when you're not whole, or when you're not emotionally stable, you respond to people based on how you feel about yourself, and then you project your feelings onto other people, and that's when you be saying stuff you shouldn't say that you really feel about your own situation, but it is easier to put it on somebody else. Like if you hurt, if you do this, if you do that, um, taking somebody else's actions and changing their intent is unfair to them. Like changing somebody else's intent is not fair to them. Doing that as a deflection on who you are and how you are and how you feel about yourself, that's unfair to people. And then like you can make people go back looking at themselves funny, but when their intentions were pure and you didn't like the trigger, like somebody could say something or somebody can do something that triggers you, and then your response to it is misjudging their intent because you're projecting versus saying, hey, this is how I feel about what you did. This is how I feel about this. This is how I feel about that. That really didn't feel good. It felt like you were. And then let the other person say, no, that wasn't my intent. That's not what I was doing. I can understand why you would feel that way. And then you have a dialogue where two people can be transparent and honest, not brutally honest, not keeping it real, but truthful from a loving place of one person loving the other and vice versa. And like this is in business and this is personal. Like I've experienced this personally and I've experienced this in music, like where you get to a place where you like your experiences and your trauma causes you to put up a protection mechanism that then causes you to not treat people well. So yeah. So the first thing I am doing is learning the difference between passion and pride, because they're not the same at all. Right. It makes it harder when you right. It makes it harder when you speak and they are not willing to take accountability for an action or trauma that has attached itself to you. You're trying to heal from. Yes, it's like you want to heal from that situation by communicating, but the other party is not accepting of how it made you feel. Yes, at this point you have to heal yourself. Even without them. Yes, that you have to come to we all have to come to a place where number one, we are honest about the trauma because it is like Brittany said, sometimes it's easier to cope with things by acting like they. Here's the thing: we either act like they don't exist, we cease to face them, or whatever like that. Like we just get to a place where we put the wall up and we try to forget it ever happens. But the thing that we don't see is you're bleeding on everybody at all times, anytime, any trigger, anytime, any conversation or any situation reminds you of what you have worked so hard to forget, you start bleeding on people because you won't take the time to just go get the surgery. Like, okay, you were injured so bad that you need surgery. And instead of going to the hospital and facing your injury, you just got a patch on there. So every time somebody bump it or touch it, it just starts gushing with blood. And it's like, but then you trying to tell people, you shouldn't have hit me in that area. No, I really just accidentally tapped you because I was walking and there was a rock right there. And I slipped and kind of just bumped into you on accident. But because your daggone pain is so severe, because your injury is so crazy, you automatically gushing blood. So even though I bumped into you when I tripped over the rock, I'm sorry for bumping into you, but I promise you, if you got that sewed up and you went to the hospital and got the right healing, in the scenario where you are healed, I could have said, hey, yo, it was a rock. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to fall over on you, but I slipped over the rock. Instead, you say, that's the point. People always, no, it ain't that. I tripped over the rock. I bumped into you. Your injury is so severe that it caused blood to gush out of your body. You might want to go get that checked out versus going off on me about something I couldn't control, which is slipping over the rock. So yeah, that's a weird example, but that's all right. Number two, another thing that I'm learning to do is a thing that I'm really, really doing for real, is communicating to be understood. It is easy to say, nobody understands me, nobody gets it. Yeah, nobody gets it. You don't understand. And I'm learning like, you ain't saying nothing. Absolutely. Speaking of that, she says it's like when you lose a loved one and can't accept the death also. Speaking of that, loss is crazy and loss grief. Oh, let's talk about it. Like grief is heavy, and grief is not just about the loss of people. It can be the loss of a dynamic in a relationship. It could be the loss of anything, the loss of an emotional connection with a person. Like grief is serious business. Speaking of grief, I need y'all to go to RXS Entertainment YouTube channel. Um, the latest episode is Turning Grief into Good Grief with Rika Faison Dixon. I need y'all to go watch that. She talks about her musical career. She talks about winning a Stella Award, and she talks about losing her son to a hit and run. So I need y'all to go see that. But yeah, communicating to be understood. Um, we're quick to say people don't understand. I've been quick to say people don't understand. And I've been quick to talk a lot without properly communicating. Talking a lot is not communicating. Telling people how actions make them feel is not communicating. Let me give you an example. If I say, hey man, you hurt me when you stepped on my toe. That's one thing. You hurt me when you stepped on my toe. That person says, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on your toe. Boom. That's cool. It's another thing to say, hey, the reason why I feel the way I feel about my toe being stepped on is because when I was 4 years old, this thing happened to me, and I automatically go back to that place anytime something gets close to my feet. I know you didn't mean to step on my toe, but I had a flashback of an experience that made me respond to you in that way I should not have. I apologize and move on. People don't do that. And I'm learning like instead of getting upset because people don't understand, I'm communicating to be understood. It's one thing to communicate to be heard. It's another thing to communicate to be understood. You can talk and argue and fuss and explain and explain. You can do all of that stuff. But it's different to say, hey, this is why I feel this way. This is what's going on. This is my DNA. This is my emotional makeup. This is where my mind is. Um, and this is how I feel like. And I'm learning like to take accountability for me instead of always being upset or always being frustrated about feeling misunderstood. I'm realizing that it is my responsibility to be understood. It is up to me to communicate in a way where people can walk away understanding, whether that's to understand something about me, whether that's to understand in business a goal that needs to be accomplished. If somebody's doing something for me, a graphic or a song, it's my responsibility to say, hey, on this song, I would like for you to use this guitar tone or these drum tones or this sound or this swag, reference this record. And then when I get the record back, based on my communication, boom, they communicated with me. Is this what you were saying? Yeah. I get the song back, I'm good. But to be upset because a person didn't do what I expected when I never communicated to them. So if I just give you something and then that's another thing, just like expecting people that have relationship with you to be mind readers and just like use context clues. It's not fair to people because as close as we can be to some people, we don't know nothing that you don't communicate. I don't know nothing about my wife that she don't communicate. I can observe and I can assume, but even when I do that, I don't know all of her unless she communicates it. And I'm getting to a place in my journey of taking accountability where I'm communicating to be understood, like specifically, intentionally, dealing with triggers specifically, like communicating about triggers. Like if something triggers me to respond with a lot of emotion, if something triggers me to respond with a lot of anger, I'm then going back to like people I'm working with or my wife and I say, hey, I responded to this because of this. Because what happens is you give people the opportunity to understand. When you give them context, you no longer have to feel like you out there by yourself. Like you're just being mistreated. Like we walk away from situations a lot just feeling down, feeling misunderstood. Nobody understands. Everybody keeps mistreating me. Every time I get in a situation or every time I get in a business, people taking advantage of my heart, people taking my kindness for weakness. No, they're not. You're not communicating. And then when they're just working with what they have, it hurts you, but you're not building up the strength to communicate what your desires are, what your experiences are, and what your expectations are. Like it's important that you communicate with the objective to be understood, not to complain or not to insult people for not understanding, but communicate so that you can be understood. So that's the vibes. What's the third thing? Um, The third thing that I am doing to take accountability for my life is being honest with myself. That may seem simple, but it can be very hard, depending on what you've been through, depending on what you've faced, depending on what has happened to you in your life. Being honest with yourself can be hard. What are some things that I have to be honest with myself about? Things like, hey man, sometimes your tone is so rude that even though you mean well, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Sometimes you don't say stuff right. Sometimes you don't listen. Sometimes your past situations overtake you in conversations where it makes you blank out mentally and emotionally, and you take the conversations to places it shouldn't go. These are real things that I've been honest with myself about so that I can treat people better. Like, and I think we have to be honest with ourselves it can be tough because being honest with yourself could mean thinking about things that happened that hurt, thinking about things that happened that you didn't want to think about anymore. It may cause you to play movies in your head of events that didn't go well. But I promise you, man, the journey may be rough. Sometimes it may hurt. Sometimes it may make you cry. But I promise you, when you're honest with yourself, when you're truthful with yourself, and when you're real with yourself, there's a level of acceptance with who and how you are that allows you to be patient with other people. It allows you to see the nuances of other people. Like when you don't accept the nuances of you, good and bad, it causes you to not see the nuances of people, and it makes tough for building any kind of relationship because there's a superiority that comes with only being concerned with one part of you. Um, Melly baby, you can watch the full episode of the RXS podcast with Rika Faison on YouTube. The YouTube channel is RXS Entertainment. Type in hashtag the RXS podcast, THERXSPODCAST, and then you'll see Turning Grief into Good Grief, the RXS podcast with Rika Faison Dixon. That's DICKSON. So you should be able to see it from there. But yeah, being honest, it's like it's easy to tell yourself a version of a story that is more palatable for your peace of mind in the short term. But doing that causes real damage in your life and the lives of the people around you in the long term. In order for me to have healthy long term relationships, I have to be honest with myself in the short term. If I want to have a great working relationship with my homies forever, I have to make sure that I'm honest about how I treat them. I got to be honest about how I communicate with them. I got to be honest about the experience that they have when they do stuff for me. Am I on time? Do I pay when I'm supposed to? If I have a problem with whatever I have a problem with, I have to fix that, and I have to allow them to be able to give me feedback, and then I take that feedback and be honest with myself if it's true. Same thing like personally, like with my daughter. Like if I want to have a long lasting relationship with my daughter that is not toxic and not resentful, I have to be honest with myself. If I'm too hard on her about certain things, or if I'm unrealistic about certain things, or if I say things that bring her spirit down, these are things, if I were that type of person and she told me that, I would have to be honest with myself and audit my actions to um, tell myself, yes, that is true. And if it is true, why? Why am I the way that I am? And it'll go back to the other points of like understanding. Hold on one second. It'll go back to the other points of being able to communicate where you're understood. It's like, hey, how I am isn't cool. This is the reason why I am the way I am. I'm protecting myself from this, or I'm trying to avoid this, or my ego rises in this situation because I want people to see what my worth is. I've been in the music industry for a long time, and people have overlooked me. So when I get in situations, I'm bullheaded because I don't want to keep being taken advantage of. Or, hey, when I was younger, I didn't feel like I had a voice. So now I talk too much because I finally have the power to be heard without being interrupted. So I misuse that power and I abuse it. And I'm verbally abusive not because I want to be verbally abusive, but because I finally have the power to be heard. I didn't feel like I could be heard when I was younger. So now I'm an adult and I want to be heard and I want to make up for lost time. So that makes me say stuff I shouldn't say and say way too much of it. These are things that can be life changing if you're willing to be honest about them. And I'm being transparent in this moment to say 80% of the examples I'm giving are real life examples of things I've experienced and things that I'm working through and things that I'm being honest with myself about. So I want to encourage everybody to work on taking accountability if this conversation, if what I'm saying resonates with you, then these are three things that I'm doing that make it help you. The first thing I'm doing is learning the difference between passion and pride. It is so easy to say that, hey man, I'm passionate about this, so I'm just being honest. I'm keeping it real. I'm being brutally honest. Like that's not good. Like that's just a prideful way to throw your weight around to, in my case, overcompensate for an area where I'm weak. So I'm strong over here, or I feel like I'm strong over here. So I communicate in this way because I'm actually weak over here and I want to keep the attention off where I'm weak. So now I'm learning the difference between passion and pride. Like if I really love something, if I really stand for something, and I really want to see the best for a person or a project, then I just communicate that. Hey, I want this to be the best it can be. I want you to be the best that you can be. And whatever we need to do that, I want to make sure that we do that. And then number two, communicating to be understood. Position yourself to have the strength to be transparent with the people that you love so that they can understand why you are the way that you are. Getting to the place where you communicate with people and they understand you, they can help you work through those things so that you can become a better version of yourself and then in turn have better relationships. And then number three, be honest with yourself. I've been honest with myself lately. Um, some things I'm aware of, some things that I'm discovering that hurt real, real bad. But I want to be a better person, and being a better person is more important than protecting my ego. If if my world has to be shattered, if my emotions have to be turned upside down, and if my pride has to be crushed in order for me to be a better husband, a better father, a better leader, a better producer, a better communicator, I'm just willing to do that. It's hard, it hurts, it's tough, but I'm willing to do that so that the people around me have an experience of me that's healthy, productive, and prosperous. Mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I want to have healthy relationships. And I can only have healthy relationships if I do what it takes to become a healthier person. So, yeah, that's the vibe. Those are three things that I'm currently doing every day to take more accountability. I love y'all. Today is more personal than musical, but as I always say, I'm in a situation where I'm literally sacrificing my life to help the music community. Like there's so many people who are extremely gifted who go through wild things that they don't talk about. Family issues, business issues, past traumas, past experiences, marriage, relationships, failures, all kinds of things. And so I just want to, as I learn, as I grow, as I develop, I just want to be honest about everything so that I can be inspiration, motivation, and information for y'all. As my wife would say, we are going somewhere. We don't know where we're going. That's the truth. Every day we get up, we just put one foot in front of the other and just keep believing that one day bigger, better, greater things will happen. And until then, we're going to keep walking. So that's the vibes. I love y'all. Peace.